What's up, guys? You did not think I was going to leave you hanging this Monday morning without some BMX talk because it's cold out there in Northeast PA at the RPO BMX shop, and wherever you're at, most of the country's cold anyway. If you're working, praise you. Hopefully it's not snowing, and you can listen to this, and we're going to talk some BMX to get your week started. So, it's of course your boy Brad, and I am in the RPO lab with a rebuild. Now, I did the BennyLewisV2 already, but I wanted to do it a little better. I make several adjustments to certain bikes over the years. I've decided I like to ride this bike. It's very comfortable to ride. It wasn't selling, I believe, because it had a 20-inch top tube, but it's comfortable for me. And I just happened to speak to Benny on Instagram because over there it's like normal time. So he actually was cool enough to answer some questions I had about his bike and his setup, and I'll read that then as soon as I get done with this. So I'm going to stick with the new type of formula. Going to lay out all the parts for those of you that just want to know what parts I'm running, what the name is, and then I'm going to go deep into the specs on stuff. So if you're not really interested in that stuff, you can shut it off. And then at the end, I'll give some up closes of the parts, and I'll of course try to show you guys throughout this. So, sorry man. Dry mouth. Alright, so we're going to go with this order in the videos from now on. I'm not going to fluctuate and jump from one thing to the other. Just going to hit it with the parts. So, bar ends, alloy, kink ideal, large bar ends. They also have a smaller bar end. This is the large version, first one that came out in polished. I have the Odyssey Travis Hughes grips connected to the Odyssey uppercut bars. After the uppercut bars, the stem is the Fit Mike Aiken stem, and the stem below that is the headset. This is an Animal headset. I'm just a fan of the Animal headset. I like the placement of the letters. I'm not going to get into that now though. Okay, after that I'm going to talk about the forks. We have the 26mm offset Animal street forks. And the seat is a tripod seat, the Fit Cafe seat. So it's connected. It's all one. It's lighter. After that, let's get to the drivetrain. We have the Animal BPE pedals, the Animal Akimbo cranks in 165mm, a United Middle Class sprocket or MDCLS sprocket, a Shadow Supreme chain, I'm not sure of the bottom bracket, it might be like a total bottom bracket. I have a BB Buddy on the other side, so it's just 22mm bottom bracket. Animal cranks do not come with a bottom bracket. And in the back here, we're going to go over, first let's talk a little bit about the frame. This is the Fit BennyLewisV2. This is a frame, it's made in Taiwan. This was Fit's first shot at making a frame with through Taiwan instead of just American made like their other sister company S&M, and I think it came out pretty good, to be honest. I really like the specs, and if you're going to experiment, why not experiment with some cool stuff? It ended up working out, at least if you like this style. The one thing about this frame, it's a 20-inch top tube. It has a short standover, 8.85 inches. It has kind of a higher bottom bracket, 13-inch back end. That's pretty much where I have it set. Head tube is 75.5 degrees, I believe, and it's got nice engraving on it. What's really cool about this frame is the fact that the reason I believe it's comfortable for me is because this has a 72-degree back angle on it. Most bikes have a 71-degree seat tube angle. And I believe We the People or ECLA, someone's coming out now with one that's actually 72 degrees also, but it's not 72 degrees backwards, it's 72 degrees forwards. So that would bring you closer to the bars, and you'd probably need a longer top tube. This sets you back almost like layback seat post. If you notice, you can tell it's definitely more of an angle than most. Light bike, double gussets, really nice cups for the bottom bracket, and no chain tensioners, don't need those. And integrated seat post clamp, and just the basic, nice lines of a fit frame from Taiwan. So yeah, next we're gonna go to the tires. Animal GLH tires, classic tires. Benny is sponsored by both Fit and Animal, so tried to stick with Fit and Animal parts. These tires are just sick. GLH, I think, is go like hell. If you didn't know, 2.35 inch. Gonna get in the specs later. I have BSD Rude Tube pegs. I have two with the steel core on the right. That's the side I grind on. I'm a goofy footed grinder, so everything I grind just shreds up. So I got the steel core on the right side. I got the alloy core on the left, because being goofy footed, you can do crooked grinds. They're not switched to you, and that's the only benefit I would say to being goofy footed. If you come up with some more benefits to being goofy footed, give me a shout, man, because spinning sucks. I lead with my left leg, so I spin left. It's like, I watch some guys do it. Even Garrett Reynolds, I watch him do it, but they're still like straight up and down. They don't get that nice tuck on their spins, like when they are spinning to the direction of the leg that is back here. So, all right, next part. We have a Ryan Howard hub guard here by Animal, one of Animal's newer products. Shout out Ryan. That thing, man, buy that hub guard. You'll never need another hub guard. It's nice. It's not that heavy either, but I know ECLA has some nice ones, but if they could take that Griffin, I think it's a Griffin, and move it up a little bit, or put it, I don't know, something about like the placement of the hub guard makes it hard to showcase the graphics on it. It also says Animal Bikes around the inside. That gets scratched up immediately once you install it. And I don't know, I'm a fan of the graphics in BMX. BMX is so simple, and it's one of the things that makes it interesting to me. Some people like going super plain. I have particular taste myself, and that's fine. That's why it's called freestyle. Anyway, moving on. Alloy steel. This thing is steel. Ryan Howard hub guard, can run on either side, and it's just, I'm running it with the Supreme chain. And I just had sent a message to Mike Booth because he broke one on Instagram. I saw it, and I was like, no, not the Supreme chain. And he was like saying how it's the first time he ever broke one, and that dude's a beast, especially with like Derek Duster grinds and stuff. That's all up on your chain, and it's an easy fix. This chain is, shout out Tyler W. My boy gave this to me, and I slowly like pinched each of these and polished it, and it runs great, to be honest. And point I was making is that the Ryan Howard hub guard works with the Supreme chain, and the Supreme chain also works with the United MDCLS sprocket, which is also another one of the sickest parts that came out last year. It has the removable guard on it, and so you can run it either way with 4 hex bolts, or is it 3? 3 hex bolts. I can't see so much from that angle. That's just hanging there. Okay, next, wheels. Lost my light. Let me fix that. You guys know I don't edit stuff, so you're just gonna have to deal with looking at the bike. But I'm on the wheels, I know that. Let's set this up like this. later. And flip this bubble out. So wheels, we have an E-Claw Cortex coaster on the back here. Very nice. I bought that as a complete wheel with an E-Claw Bondi rim, and I took that off, put a different hub on, and now I put a different rim with the E-Claw Cortex. This is just the Cortex FC, the original Cortex. Pretty heavy, I will say. It's left-hand drive, but it's a tank, man. It's not gonna break on you. Wheel's a little beat up, isn't it? Gonna have to talk to the wizard and iron out some of those kinks. The rim, beefy rim, double wall. It's a Weinman rim. If you know Weinman rims, you're a BMX dude, but if you don't, maybe look them up. They make some decent rims. And we got some cool little cinema white valve caps on the end there. Front wheel. We have a Shadow Truss complete front wheel. Very nice width on the rim, especially for a 2.35 tire. Makes it nice. It's like perfect. It's not too fat, it's not too skinny, and has this little edge on the tires that hangs out, so I don't know, it just kind of works well. I also like these tires on an Aero style rim, but not as much as I like them on one with a higher ERD, I believe it is, or profile. I'm just going to stick with profile, and what I mean by profile is this is a wider profile than what an Aero rim is. You need a wider profile to use brakes, basically, and if you have an Aero style rim, you can't. And I was thinking of riding a coaster with brakes for some weird reason, because I was going to, oh yeah, this used to be the Flatland build, I remember. Okay, guys, that's the parts. Now I'm going to get into some of the details and the little things about it that I like. And first off, I'm going to talk a little bit about Benny. I was just talking to him here on Instagram, and it was funny because I had a shorter stem on. I had the Mickey Fleck United stem, and that only has a 48 millimeter reach, and it made all the difference in the world. I just felt like uncomfortable and cramped up on the bike, so I decided to throw the Aiken back on. And I do like the responsiveness of these uppercut bars. They're only a 9-inch rise. I think they're 27.5 width. I did want to wax this first, but yeah, do love these bars. Lightweight too. What can you say about the Aiken stem? The 53 millimeters just makes it work for me with the 26 millimeter offset forks and the high stack. Now, this is where I wanted to talk. This is where I talked to Benny, because I was like, dude, I'm comfortable on the 20-inch, but I'm almost 5'9". And he's like, he responds, I'm 5'9", and I run the 20 with a 38 reach stem and direct 15 millimeter animal forks and 160 cranks. But not because he hits his foot. I never do, but it makes spinning a lot easier, which is awesome, of course. But if you think about it, okay, so I would prefer 160 millimeter cranks, and I would prefer it because of the foot. That's why I had to take the 170s off. But even with the 165s, you have a good amount of clearance here, you could see, especially if you're like a size 10, 11 or under. And I think I'm like a 9.5. The pegs, the root tubes, this side, they're both 4.5 inches. They have a nice diameter. I do like the Benny pegs. I would put the Benny pegs on. Right now, we're balling on a budget, and I had these. I still love the root tubes, do love the Benny pegs, but we're gonna wear those out first before we get anything new. And we got the steel core, so they're probably gonna last a while. Now, as for the pedals, these are a discontinued pedal. These are the Animal BPE pedals, which stands for Best Pedal Ever. That's the best name ever, too. One thing I did notice, because I talked to Ryan Howard about these, And good thing I did, because he mentioned to definitely grease up the spindle. I believe, yes, it's an alloy cold forged spindle, and it just runs on like a bushing. It does run on a bushing, and I have a pair that I got in black, but I think I'm gonna have to machine them a little bit because I got lucky with these. These spin very smoothly when you tighten them. Most of them do not spin as well. They come with the core. If you've ever seen the Kink Scenic pedals, you can look those up, and it's a very similar concept to those. And that's all I'm going to say about that. The Kink Scenic pedals, good idea. I like it. I like the idea of the alloy core because I am goofy footed, so when I do grind, my foot is always dragging. I should fix that. We also have the bottom bracket buddy here. I got this way back as soon as they came out with the 22mm ones. That was right about when I first started having wrist issues, and now I've now had it fused last February and should be able to ride, God willing, this summer. So I can now cruise around. It doesn't hurt as bad to hop off a curb. I don't have to wear the brace all the time. Life is good. It's going to be a good year. No negativity. Alright, I'm going to keep rambling on here. So, I have this set up the way I do with the 53mm because I like the longer reach. I'm a little taller. Most of my bikes are 20.75. However, I've been slowly adjusting to kind of smaller builds that are fit specific to me. And it was funny because Benny continued talking. Sorry, I forgot about this. And so I asked him a question about how he runs his bikes and if he could elaborate a little bit on it. So I'm going to give you some Benny Lewis wisdom here. So, and thank you, Benny. Shout out. He went in on this one, which was great. These are, I'm going to quote him. Okay, well, I have always ran my bikes essentially the same. I run a slammed seat. I wish I could get as close to the back tire as possible. I have always ran 4-inch pegs, especially in my peg with Animal, the Benny pegs. He doesn't like the long ones, and he doesn't know why. So, those 4.5s, those are for your pleasure. Benny doesn't actually run the 4.5s, he runs the 4s. I got some 4.5s. He also said he would like to have the back, he wants to get as close to the back tire as possible, which means the seat is all the way down here, probably like non-existent, and the back tire just comes out. Shout out Scott. And it probably helps a lot with spinning is my guess. And he also led into this with it. I like my bike to be as responsible as possible, and then I have to gain the skill to be able to manipulate it. But once I do, it's an extension of my own body. People may question why my bars are a bit more forward than most. It's not to add length to the top tube for space. I just prefer the control of the 15mm forks and shorter stem with vertical bars. So I run them vertical to the floor, not in line with the forks like a lot of people do. And then he liked and followed me, I think, on YouTube. But fingers crossed. Anyway, that was awesome. I was so glad he responded. He did say one more thing. I run my signature Animal alloy core pegs with a plastic sleeve, and before that, he ran the Butchers, which were a very similar design. His bars are about 26 to 27 inches wide, around 8.75, 9-inch rise. He's currently running the smaller Alive T95 bars because, quote, I love how they feel, but are slightly lower, so he uses some extra stem stacker, kind of like this. And then we said our piece, and that was cool, man. So yeah, unlike me, I like the stem to be a little longer when the top tube is shorter in this case. I do like the shorter cranks. Unfortunately, I didn't have these in 160mm, but the idea of the bike being an extension of your body sounded really cool to me, being an older rider. And Benny also, he's younger than me, but he's definitely an older rider, has his injuries, and I watch him on Instagram, and the way he rides just kind of inspires me that you can still ride a lot, have fun, smile, chill with your boys, and you don't have to do anything crazy like jibbing around on your bike is a blast. So yeah, I'm gonna cut this one a little short. Not much else I can say about the bike that you guys might not know. I am trying the coaster again, working on my 180s, and I do have a Versus Me stem buddy right here, and it has the RPO BMX engraved on it. I'll show you guys a little close-up of that. Gotta love the embossing on the Animal Street forks. When Benny was saying that he runs the bars vertical to the ground and not in line with the forks like most people, what he means is the bars, the top tube, is in line with the floor. It's going to run perpendicular to the floor perfectly at a 90-degree angle. Instead of, if these were 15mm forks, these are at a 15mm degree angle. So a lot of people will align, and mine are pretty close. They're actually a little bit forward, but a lot of people will align the forks, and I'm guilty of this too, perfectly with the handlebars. So yeah, I'm gonna have to look at that from a distance, and let me get you guys close up. But thank you for tuning in. I hope this helps get you guys through your Monday, your week, whatever. Sorry about that. And let's do this. We have your Odyssey uppercut bars, Kink Ideal bar ends, and the beautiful Mike Aikens stem, stylish as ever, most stylish rider ever. Animal fork top cap, nice red animal headset. These are the 26mm animal forks. I do have plastic guards here. Some nice engraving on the front. I thought that was sweet. And they were able to keep us at a very nice price point at the time. It has been since discontinued. There's your United sprocket. Plenty of room. The BPE pedal to run the shadow chain. Fits right in there with the Howard hub guard and that sweet little graphic. And on this side, the only thing I'm going to drop down to see is the BB Buddy, which hopefully I'll get that thing grinded and show you guys, get you guys some clips on this thing. Thanks for tuning in, man. Hope you guys have a good week. I'm out.